the home of inspiration every day.
Most people give up on themselves easily. You know the human spirit is powerful.
From news,
countries across the globe have been hit by the COVID-19 virus.
Views,
there's a global trend to see an increase in GBV incidences, specifically domestic violence.
sports,
What's he say? It's a really good ball. It's Shabalala.
and music to inspire you every day. This is Vuka Online, your inspiration radio station.
Good evening and welcome to another of The Cycle right here on Vuka Online Radio with me, your host, Mogale Mothale. We are together until 7 p.m. and thank you so much to you, our loyal listeners, for streaming this evening, and thanks to my colleague Mogale for the news bulletin. He will be coming back at 7 p.m. for the latest in the news. Tonight on the show, we will be looking into the Tshwane Energy Summit, which is taking place this coming Friday at the CSIR. This summit will be hosted by the Tshwane Economic Development Agency in partnership with the City of Tshwane. And of course, this summit will bring together industry leaders, policymakers, and other key stakeholders to discuss and drive sustainable energy solutions for the city of Tshwane and beyond. Despite policy development on electrification, not only in the city of Tshwane, but of course across the country, South Africa still faces a significant challenges around its energy security. The Tshwane Energy Summit aims to address these challenges by focusing on solutions to electricity supply issues, showcasing alternative energy technologies, and advancing the city's climate action plan. The CEO of TIDA, this is the Tshwane Economic Development Agency, Lardo Starnder, will be joining us tonight on the show. He will be talking to us about this very important summit. And I'm saying this is very important summit because last year, for those of you who have been with us for quite some times, last year we attended the Tshwane Energy Summit, and I remember having, the mayor of Tshwane at the time, Celia Brink, having some board members of TIDA, just taking us through some of the plans that they have with regard to solving the issues that the city of Tshwane has in terms of its energy security. And of course, just about a year ago, this is I'm not sure, maybe it's not a year really, maybe about 9 months or so. The city council in the Tshwane City Council resolved to lease Royval and Pretoria West power station to an independent power producers as the first step to unlocking their generation capacity to the city's benefit. The power stations have been in disuse for quite some time now. And you ask yourself, if we have these power stations, which is just a matter of, refurbishing them, it's a matter of getting them to work, why are we still not using them? Well, while we actually have a very serious challenge in terms of our energy security, not only in the city of Tshwane, in the city of Johannesburg and elsewhere across the country. So we would be looking into some of these issues. Of course, there's a plan by the city council to actually bring about private sector investment and some of the private sector's expertise to get these power stations fired up. And of course, the metro, this is the city of Tshwane, is also set to appoint a transactional advisor to assist in crafting a comprehensive and a sound request for proposal. This is the RPF to attract independent power producers to, bring back these power stations to life. And of course, TIDA will be facilitating the appointment of that transactional advisor to develop a comprehensive request for proposal. So that's the conversation that we will be having this evening together with the CEO of TIDA, that is Lardo Starnder, who will be joining us later on the show. He will be joining us on the line. Of course, you can be part of the conversation as our loyal listeners. You can be part of this conversation by following us on all our social media platforms. We are at Vuka Online Radio on all our social media platforms. We are at Vuka Online Radio on X, on Facebook, and as well as on Instagram. Please do get in touch with us. Share with us your thoughts. Tell us what you think of the discussion for this evening. We are going to take a break. Yes, we are going to take a break. When we come back from the break, we will go straight into some of the key highlights of this week. There's a lot that happened in the last few days, and of course, you don't want to miss it. We will be back right after this short break. Stay tuned.
How do you know the life or personal coach you're about to work with is who they say they are? How do you know if they can do the job? At the Africa Board for Coaching, Consulting and Coaching Psychology, we can tell you. So, before you share your secrets and spend your money, check with us first. Visit www.abccccp.com or call us on 012-751-7608. The ABCCP, the professional body for coaches.
Welcome back to the show this evening with me, your host, Mogale Mothale. Thank you so much for staying with us this evening. At this point, we are going to go straight into our key highlights of the week. Before we do that, let me just remind you what will be our main talking point this evening on the cycle. Right after the break, we will be joined by the CEO of TIDA. This is the Tshwane Economic Development Agency, Lardo Starnder, who will be joining us to tell us more about the Tshwane Energy Summit that is coming up this coming Friday. But for now, let's go into our key highlights of the week. Where do we even start? Where do we even start? Because a lot has happened in the last few days, but let's start here. The Craddock 4, you'll remember that this is an inquest that has been going on for a while. We were not sure as to whether the trial will begin last week or actually we will see another delay, but luckily it started last week in the High Court in the Eastern Cape, and of course we'll be keeping a close eye on those developments, and of course soon as we know what will be the judgment on this matter, we will definitely be the first to bring it to you. And of course, that's what we do with our news. And of course, even with shows like The Cycle, making sure that you are up to date with what is happening across the country and of course, even across the globe. Another matter that actually has also kept us talking last week was the illegal mining incident in Johannesburg. This was the shootout between the police and the illegal miners in an area called Riveria in Johannesburg, which led to community protest and, of course, a heightened tensions in the area. And, of course, we have been talking a lot about illegal mining. I think at one point we even had a discussion or a conversation right here on the show on how to deal with illegal mining and how do we deploy the police officials into these areas which are well known by the communities to say that there is an illegal mining happening in this area. But what the police are doing, like what we had with the communities of Riveria last week, is that police officials, they know about this illegal mining, but what they do, they are coming in and collect bribe and just let the illegal mining continue. So we really need to get to know who are behind this, because it cannot just be business as usual with this illegal mining. So that's the story that has kept many South Africans talking last week with regard to that illegal mining incident in Johannesburg. Another story that has actually kept us talking last week was the removal of Floyd Shivambu. The removal of Floyd Shivambu as the Secretary General of the Umkhonto Wesizwe. We know that we were not sure as to what will be his future, after he attended that Easter convention gathering of Prophet Shepherd Bushiri in Malawi. And of course, he was heavily criticized. On many occasions, he defended himself that there is no way he could have, rejected an invitation to go to a church. He even used the scripture to say that I was glad when they say, let's go to the house of the Lord. So let me just maybe take you to a clip where he was talking to the SABC defending his visit to the Bushiri church. Technology is failing me, but let's take a listen.
To the church because who am I to refuse to go to the church? I had to go to the church, and I didn't speak anything at the church. I just attended to listen to the sermon. But the optics, Mr. Shivambu, you are a leader of the official opposition in South Africa. Yes. And this individual is a fugitive from law in South Africa. So those optics, and on top of it, your party issues a statement dissociating itself. Yeah, I think the unfortunate statement was out of the misunderstanding as well of what got to transpire in terms of the visit itself. And I'm not a law enforcement agency, one, but two, factually, there is no court ruling in Malawi which South Africa has been pursuing to declare or characterize Bushiri as a fugitive. If there was such, the Malawian government was going to hand him over. But I'm saying to you now that if anything, the Malawian state is protecting him like in terms of his own security, in terms of what gets to happen. And if the South African government wants to pursue him, they know what processes they must follow, they must deal with, and everything else there. By the way, I can go to any church, even of convicted criminals. Like whichever church I want to go to, I can go to any religious institution as long as I believe that is a correct thing to do and everything else there. Like I'm not the only person who does that. I say to you now that the more than 5,000 South Africans were registered to participate. But they're not Secretary General of MK. Yeah, they're not Secretary General of the MK.
Well, that was Floyd Shivambu talking to the SABC there, defending his decision or his visit to the Bushiri church. Let's now take a listen to MK Party announcing his, what I will call a demotion, because he was literally demoted from the Secretary General position to being a mere member of parliament.
The national officials have come to a decision to redeploy Commander Floyd Shivambu as the Secretary General of the party, and deploying him to the National Assembly. Excuse me. We believe that his redeployment will strengthen the MK Party caucus as the official opposition. This Commander Floyd Shivambu carries a wealth of experience as a former member of parliament.
Well, this was the MK announcing Floyd Shivambu's redeployment to the National Assembly. So he will be a member of parliament, an ordinary member of parliament. He will be representing the MK party in parliament. Let's take a listen to Floyd himself, responding to this, what many call a demotion, because it is a demotion if you look at it, because from being a Secretary General to now just being a member of parliament. Let's take a listen to what Floyd Shivambu had to say himself.
I fully accept as the national officials have taken a decision which I fully accept as a disciplined member of Umkhonto we Sizwe. We've National Assembly and will continue to play the role of advancing the agenda and program of Mkondo Sizwe. It has been invaluable roles that we have played.
So, well, that was a Flash Bamboo responding to the redeployment, his redeployment to National Assembly. So we are going to, what's happening? What's happening? Let me just get to my sincere apologies there. We got another clip coming from Parliament. That is Penny in one of the portfolio committees in Parliament, where he was making his own submissions. Let's listen to what Julius Malema had to say with regard to these developments.
I don't work with Fred anyway. Parliament or soccer match or anything. I don't work with Floyd. I'm following into a Floyd. So I'm not getting involved. I have Queen here. So it's not a problem. We are in Parliament. We are working in Parliament, and that's it. If it comes to Parliament, you will find us rolling. The Parliament now is run by young boys. Young people are running that thing. And if he comes then thinks he can impose himself on them, they are already ready for him. So you can be rest assured he will not do anything that can undermine the superior logic of the EFF in that Parliament.
Well, that was Julius Malema responding to the developments with regard to Floyd Shivambu being redeployed to National Assembly. Let's now move to some work that has been done, or let me say, I don't want to call it an oversight visit because for me it looks like the Action SA has been going around just highlighting some of the successes and the progress made by Dr. Nasipi Moya in the city of Tshwane. And of course, Michael Beaumont, the chairperson of the party, has been doing some work or going around the city of Pretoria, just highlighting some of the successes. In this clip that I'm going to play you, he was actually at the Royval Power Station in the city of Tshwane. And of course, it will be part of our talking point later when we'll be joined by Lardo Starnder, the CEO of the Tshwane Economic Development. Let's take a listen to what Michael had to say.
We're here at the Royval Power Station, which is a vital project in Dr. Nasipi Moya and her multi-party coalition's budget for the next financial year. This facility was built in 1962. It's got the capacity to produce 300 megawatts of power for the city, and particularly for this area that suffers constant outages and burnt down substations. 150 million rand is being invested in this facility to ensure that it can generate 300 megawatts of power for the residents of this community and the city at large. Importantly, you may remember this was the facility involved in the controversial Kratos Consortium proposal, where the DA was trying to sell out facilities to private institutions that would have cost the city billions and billions of rands. Here we have a facility the city is going to invest in, the city is going to generate power, and the city is going to ensure the lights stay on for the residents of this community.
Well, that was Michael Beaumont doing what they call the Tshwane Progress Tour at the Royval Power Station. Of course, we are going to be joined by the CEO of Tshwane Economic Development Agency right after this short break, where he will be talking to us about the Tshwane Energy Summit that is coming up this coming Friday. We are back with that conversation right after this short break. Stay tuned.
The Africa Center for Work-Based Learning is a professional development center for professionals who aim to improve their professional standing. This means that the learning programs we run are more than just academic programs. They are work-based programs that focus on leveraging your current experience as a professional to build your overall profile. A year down the line, the Africa Center for Work-Based Learning is developing into a preferred center for professional development in Pretoria, with 8 professional development faculties including accounting, teaching, entrepreneurship, as well as IT and many more. For more information, go to acwbl.org or dial +27 12 751 7608. The Africa Center for Work-Based Learning, where work is learning.
Welcome back to the cycle this evening with me, your host Mogale Mothale, right here on Vuka Online Radio. This evening we are joined by the CEO of TIDA. This is the Tshwane Economic Development Agency, Lardo Starnder, who is joining us on the line to talk to us about the Tshwane Energy Summit they will be hosting in partnership with the City of Tshwane, the Energy Summit this coming Friday in Pretoria. And it's quite interesting that they will be hosting it at the CSIR. Maybe it will be very interesting to hear from the CEO as to what are they going to be doing together with academics, together with the research community, just to get the City of Tshwane going in terms of their power generating capacity. Without any waste of time, let's welcome CEO of TIDA on the show. Mr. Starnder, good evening and welcome to Vuka.
Good evening, Mogale, and thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you so much. You are going to be hosting the Tshwane Energy Summit. It's not the first time you are hosting this. I was privileged to attend and have a conversation with the mayor, the former mayor, Celia Brink, last year. I had a privilege of talking to one of your board members, and they were very optimistic about this energy summit because it brings a whole lot of people in one room, and they are bringing about solutions to the energy issues in the City of Tshwane. Before we get into that, maybe just tell us more about the summit itself, who will be in the room and what will be on the agenda on the day of the conference.
Thank you very much, Mogale. And you are right. We hosted the inaugural Tshwane Energy Summit last year. And this was in response to the sort of prevailing energy crisis that has plagued South Africa for the last decade and a half. And it's not only the load shedding that we've all become so used to and that we've all learned to live with that's pushed us to address energy security, but it's also matters of do we still attend to energy access issues? Do we have an idea of where energy prices from an affordability perspective is heading? And then, of course, as part of the global community, Tshwane as the capital city contributes and participates in all these global sustainability platforms. We are also part and parcel of the carbon emission reduction initiative, where we've made certain commitments to our international partners in trying to reduce our carbon footprint. So energy security broadly is a very current and very topical issue and problem that we are addressing. When we then had the inaugural Energy Summit, we positioned the summit as a platform for the City of Tshwane to communicate to its stakeholders. And these stakeholders not only include our residents and our customers, but also include the private sector, those private sector companies that do participate in the energy sector, either from a generation perspective or a component perspective. It also includes our other government sphere stakeholders that are all besieged with energy issues and understanding how we should be designing and managing an energy system in our country. And it also includes our international stakeholders because, as you know, Tshwane as the capital city hosts all the foreign embassies in the world. We, outside of the city of Washington, we host the second most embassies and foreign representative offices in the world. So our international community is also really interested in understanding, what our plans and what our strategies are for addressing energy security.
And it's quite interesting, Lardo, because you are also touching on issues of affordability, the generating capacity of the city of Tshwane power stations to be able to keep up with the need of the electricity demand, either be in Mamelodi or wherever in the city of Tshwane. And last year when I was at the summit, there was a big, a talking point, and that talking point included two power stations in the city of Tshwane, that is Pretoria West and Rooiwal power stations. And I don't know how far the city is in making sure that they get these two power stations working. But in the last few days, we have seen the mayor, we have seen some of the mayoral committee talking about some of the progress that have been made in getting these two power stations back to their generating capacity. Maybe just to talk to us about what is the role of TIDA in all of this.
Thanks, Mogale, and again, you remember well from our discussions last year, which we hope to continue and build on in this year's 2025 summit. So the city owns two power stations. These are our own assets, and they represent a significant generation capacity that we can use to not only feed power into our local grid, i.e. for our own customers, but also to help mitigate against the national challenges that they face with quite frequently not having enough power generated that can match the demand for energy. So the two power stations, we have embarked on a process in the city led by the Energy Task Team, which I currently chair. This is a transversal task team that consists of officials from the Energy and Electricity Department, from finances, from strategy, from group properties, from the Environmental Management Department, from City Sustainability Unit, a unit that's specifically looking at sustainability matters as it impacts the city, from the Economic Intelligence Unit to assist us and support us with the analysis and the global trends. But the role of the Energy Task Team within advising the city on what is happening globally, what are the options, and what are the available sort of potential for us starting those two power stations in order for us to meet a growing energy demand. So one of the constraints, and this is broadly, we need to be clear how we define energy security. Normally when you read it internationally, right, they are talking about green energy only. For us in South Africa, it's completely different. So our energy security issues speak to the access to energy. As you know, there are still way too many households, not only in Tshwane but in South Africa, that are not yet connected to the grid and don't have access to electricity and energy as they should. So that's an energy security issue. The second one is having a reliable supply of energy so that you don't have load shedding, you don't have these frequent power outages. That's an energy security issue. The third one is the affordability of that electricity or energy that we consume, and that's a big energy security issue. And then, of course, the fourth one is the type of energy, with a global landscape moving more towards renewable and sustainable energy sources. And also even something like the carbon border adjustment mechanism that Europe is implementing that will essentially tax products that are manufactured and then exported to Europe, for their carbon intensity. And hence these things impact us in the city of Tshwane. For instance, all our automotive vehicle manufacturers have to use and integrate green and renewable energy into their manufacturing processes, or else they will be taxed quite heavily when they export their products to Europe, and that of course will impact their local competitiveness and local productivity. So energy security is a multi-pronged concept, and what we are trying to do with ourselves or through partnerships or through the private sector participation in those power stations, or even going to our state-owned entities like Eskom and asking them to assist us with getting power generated from Rooiwal and Pretoria West is in an attempt to address that energy security, one, having enough energy available for all the demand in Tshwane, and two, having the type of energy available that specifically our business sector and more specifically our manufacturing sector requires in order for them to remain competitive. And obviously, as you have more energy that can actually supply the growing demand, you are then able to start offering lower prices, right, for customers, and especially for the more vulnerable customer segments within the city of Tshwane. So the energy task team is really active and leading in that regard. And then there are members and employees at TIDA who serve on that task team. And TIDA, as a municipal entity of the city, tasked with driving investments into the city and recruiting investments and making sure that there's economic growth in the city of Tshwane, plays the role that is required from each shareholder, being the office of the executive mayor at any time. So as we are given tasks and mandates to get involved in assisting the city in whatever way, we respond as effectively as we can to that.
Thank you so much. Maybe as we conclude, because as you know, we in South Africa we hosted a whole lot of conferences where we were trying to find solutions to some of the challenges that we are faced with, and of course, no doubt, the Tshwane Energy Summit is also looking to find solutions to the energy, challenges and shortcomings that the city is faced with. Looking into the previous TESS 2024, the Tshwane Energy Summit 2024, what would you say are the key lessons from that previous summit, and what are you hoping to get out of this summit that will be hosting this coming Friday?
For us, the key lesson was, and it's something that I think we all know almost intuitively, but it is that our business sector, our private sector, they are always ready. They are always ready. They are responding to challenges in a way that's a lot more flexible and quicker than government, because they don't always face those regulatory burdens and the bureaucracy that government face, but they are always ready. And what they require from government is to be very clear, so to provide them clarity on what their policy position is, and then to have commitment towards that policy position. So when you get these ingredients right, so when we as government, we are clear in terms of what we want to achieve, we are clear in terms of what we expect from private sector and the role that they have to play in order for us to together take our city and our country forward, then they are able to respond, and they are more than ready and willing to respond. So what we're hoping to achieve from the 2025 installment of the Tshwane Energy Summit is to communicate to our stakeholders on those commitments we made during the 2024 installment. So we will introduce the two policies that we informed the stakeholders about in 2024, and that has subsequently been approved. We will inform them about the progress that we've made on the Rooiwal and Pretoria West, and on our typical renewable energy IPP program, the Independent Producers Power Producers Program. And we will take on board further recommendations and solutions that they offer, integrate that into the way in which we work, and just deepen this relationship between the City of Tshwane and its private sector in order for us, like I said, to move the city forward and really position the City of Tshwane as a capital that really cares and works full time towards making sure that our residents are protected, that they are assisted with affordability issues, that they have the city, and we position TESS 2025 under the monitor of Tshwane Always On, that they know that their government is actively working on providing them an energy secure environment within they can work and flourish.
No, thank you so much, Lardo Starnder, for your time. Unfortunately, this is where we are going to leave it due to time, but thank you so much for making time to be with us this evening.
Thank you very much, Mogale, and I hope you guys have a great weekend.
Thank you so much. Well, that was the CEO of TIDA, the Tshwane Economic Development Agency, Lardo Starnder, joining us right here on the show this evening. We will be back right after this short break. Stay tuned.
The home of inspiration every day.
Most people give up on themselves easily. You know the human spirit is powerful.
From news,
Countries across the globe have been hit by the COVID-19 virus.
views,
There's a global trend to see an increase in GBV incidences, specifically domestic violence.
sports,
What's he say? It's a really good ball. It's Shabalala.
and music to inspire you every day. This is Vuka Online, your inspiration radio station.
Welcome back. Well, that was quite a very interesting conversation that we had there with Lardo Starnder, the CEO of the Tshwane Economic Development Agency, talking about the Tshwane Energy Summit that will be taking place this coming Friday. And we hope that we can really, maybe after the summit, just have another interview conversation with them, just to get to what has been the key outcomes of this conference, what has been some of the commitments. Because sometimes, as I was talking to him, talking about the fact that we have had many of these conferences in the country, and I remember talking to somebody saying that I have stopped going to conferences. And one of the reasons why I stopped going to conferences is because I pay to go to these conferences. Sometimes my company or my organization pays for me to be there. But what I find very, demotivating about this is the fact that we talk about the same things every year, over and over again. You find that a conference on a particular subject has been going on for the last 5 or 10 years. And we are still faced with the same problem. We are still faced with, like, for example, the Gender-Based Violence Summit, which is the aim is to really deal with gender-based violence in South Africa. It has been going on for some time. It is now actually something that it is actually being overseen from the presidency. But we are still seeing a high level of gender-based violence in the country. Even when we have been talking about this, even when activists have been out to communities, we can talk about many conferences, many conferences in the country that have been going on for some time, and we haven't gotten to a point where we can say we have achieved 1, 2, 3 out of that conference, or out of those summits, out of those forums that we have been having. So what I'm saying is that we need to keep track of some of the commitments that have been made at these conferences, and to really see if those commitments are being achieved. And we have to follow up. We have to look into performance indicators to see how far are we, where are we going, who is tasked with doing what, and what is their performance so far. Are we likely to achieve this? And if not, what is it that we need to do to make sure that we get to that? Because we need to commit, but we need to also to work on our commitment. It can't just be commitments and we leave it there and we don't actually follow up on those commitments to see that the people of Tshwane, the people of Tembisa, the people of Ivory Park, the people of anywhere across the province actually get to feel the real impact of these summits and conventions and all these conferences that we are having. And sometimes they become the key, talking points in those conferences. And yet, these are the people who see little, difference in their lives. After professionals, academics, business people have been gathered together to discuss their everyday experience, but there are no difference. There is no difference. There are no changes in their lives. We can go on and on about this, but this is where we are going to leave it for the cycle. We will be back next week from 6 until 7 p.m. Next week it's all about young people next week. We are going into the Youth Day commemorations this coming Monday, and we will be, talking to people who are very close to issues that has to do with young people. That is the National Youth Agency, the NYDA, that will be joining us next week to talk to us about some of the programs, and then we'll be looking into what they call the Revitalized National Youth Service Phase 4. What is this? What is it about? They've been doing some road shows. They've been to Mpumalanga. They've been to other provinces. So we'll just hear as to what is it that they hope to achieve with what they are currently doing at the NYDA. Stay tuned for that program next week, Monday, from 6 until 7 p.m. From me, Mogale Mothale, until we meet again next week, it's a good evening and God bless you.
The home of inspiration every day.
Most people give up on themselves easily. You know the human spirit is powerful.
From news,
Countries across the globe have been hit by the COVID-19 virus.
views,
There's a global trend to see an increase in GBV incidences, specifically domestic violence.
sports,
What's he say? It's a really good ball. It's Shabalala.
and music to inspire you every day. This is Vuka Online, your inspiration radio station.